Collector Guide.
It's not the biggest display, but considering the size of the lot and the fact that it's mostly rock, I think we've done a pretty good job with it. My wife and I are both collectors, so these Christmas decorations are just another collection of ours. And Christmas is the only time we can really show these off. This display started out with just a few lights on the trees and then more on the yard. Then we started folding in various Christmas decor. Then the blow molds started popping up, and then when they started coming into play, that's when it just exploded. There are about 75 blow molds in this display, a little over 100 something decorations total, and who knows how many lights. So let's take a look what this looks like all lit up, and then we'll talk about how you can make a big display on a small lot. While working on a small lot, you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck if you work in layers. Like we start with the trees, then the house, and then from there out we work our way to the sidewalk. Now we do have a lot of decorations on this small lot. I have seen more on lots this size, but we try to make little scenarios like the Whoville and the Santa's Workshop. We're just not lining up a whole bunch of blow molds and just forcing them into every square inch of this front yard. Another thing to remember when putting a big display on a smaller lot is to work up. And here's a perfect example. Here is my Santa sleigh and reindeer, and I've made this rigging out of PVC pipe. And as you can tell, it goes up a little bit each row, giving the illusion that the reindeer are taking off. They are all connected with a mount here that screws right into this threaded PVC end here. And you can get those on the web. And I've painted this black so at nighttime you don't really see it that well. So it really is a nice touch. It gives that illusion of the reindeer taking off, of the sleigh flying, and it goes up and above some of the other blow molds to give that illusion that it's flying over everything and let me utilize my space better. Another example of working up is this plywood train trestle bridge that I made that holds up my vintage Santa train and ore cart, lifting it up above the other blow molds and decor so you can see it easily from the street and the sidewalk. Also, there are a couple other new things this year. One of them is using these plastic pallets as opposed to the wood one I have here. Now I still have a couple displays, the manger and Whoville, that are on the wood pallets, but I started using these plastic ones this year because they're going to weather through the winter a little better because they're kept outside, and they stack inside each other so they'll take up a lot less room. Previously I'd also built wooden platforms for some of this stuff, And that also would just get kind of rotted out over the winter and had to be rebuilt every couple of years or so. So I'm hoping the plastic pallets do the trick going forward. Another thing that's new this year is this vampire wiring. You get the wire, it's similar to landscape wiring. You get the wire, you get the plug separate, you get the plug that goes into the wall separate, and you just build this out so you can have multiple decorations on one wire. It eliminates all those extension cords. I mean, dozens and dozens of extension cords that I used to use. And you can get these online. You can get stuff similar to it at Lowe's and Home Depot. But this has really been, it took me a little longer this year, but next year when I set up, it's going to be one cord for this whole display. And if I need to add anything, I could just put in another plug right there or something if I need one, or anywhere. The big addition this year is this castle. It is a Disney castle, but it's not Cinderella's castle. It's a small world castle. The inspiration for this was we were in Florida at an antique shop, and there's a lot of Disney stuff around Orlando and Tampa for obvious reasons. And we saw this, looked like a tabletop display. It was cut out of foam board, but it had this neat kind of layered look with mid-century colors in it. And I thought, you know, that would be a nice addition to the Disney side of our display. So took some pictures of that, made some drawings, worked it out in layers, and just started cutting away on plywood and tried to make it almost like a pop-up book, working the front layer to the back layer, using thinner pieces of wood over top of other pieces of plywood to give it a little bit of depth. It has 4 layers to it. Between each layer is about 4 inches. The coolest thing about it is the wheels turn on it. These wheels turn thanks to motors from the ice machines in old refrigerators. This top one here on the tower, that's just one motor turning that wheel on the tower. The ones down here at the bottom is more of a sophisticated pulley system, which my father-in-law designed. This cord here pulls around these pulleys and turns these 5 wheels. It's a really nice touch, and I've been looking for movement in my display for a long time because the problem with blow molds is they're hard plastic with a cord out the back, and it's hard to put them on turntables and make them move because their cords will get tangled. They're just not made for that. The hope is with this castle is to be able to add something on each year. For instance, this Eiffel Tower, which has it's a small world look, or I might try to pull off the famous clock tower that you see at the very beginning of the ride. Who knows, but this is how I can add to this display each year and give somebody something new to look at each year so it's not the same old stuff. We always get asked 2 questions. One is, how long does it take to put up this display? Now, it's really hard to say. We start working on this thing sometime in September, and there's a lot of before work, after work, in the dark, weekends. Altogether though, I'd probably say that we spend probably 10 to 12-hour days putting this display up. The second question we get all the time is, where do you store all of this stuff? And that answer is easy. We keep it right up there in the attic of our detached garage. And believe it or not, it all fits up there. We love doing this. The neighborhood has really embraced us. The neighborhood kids love it. Hope you enjoyed our display, and I hope you learned something. And happy holidays from the Collector Guys.